Thanks for joining us today for this Gender Community of Practice session, which is a follow-up from our last meeting in November, when we started speaking about the role that men can play in advocating for women's rights and gender equality. My name is Lena Arnold Fritsch. I am a development support manager at Cymru Africa and facilitate the Gender Community of Practice. I will stay in the background though and leave the floor to our chair, Advocate Joanna Jonas, has kindly agreed to guide this conversation again. And then we have got hopefully four speakers, Letty Chimbi, Isaac Mbro, Francis Mukwana, and Steve Garrett. So it's quite a packed program and a bit of a different concept. So while we focused on one project last time and went into detail, this time we will have brief contributions from a variety of global solidarity practitioners in the Wales and Africa community, and they will each bring a few points to this discussion about opportunities and specific techniques and challenges of engaging men and of getting them to take an active role against women's discrimination and promoting gender justice. So it's just to say, it's great to hear about achievements, but just as interesting are failed attempts and strategies that were less successful and challenges, as those do provide a lot of potential for learning. So it's hopefully a space too for reflecting on those and learning together. And of course, everybody is very welcome to contribute, not just the speakers. We'll see how far we get within the next hour. Before I hand over to Joanna, just some very brief housekeeping points. You are invited to introduce yourself in the chat, and you can also use that for questions, and we'll try to pick them up. Please mute yourself during the session unless you're speaking. And remember, it's a safe space for minoritized people, so we don't tolerate any form of abuse. And otherwise, we'll remove you and we'll follow up with you on that later on. If you do have a safeguarding complaint to make, please get in touch with Claire O'Shea at hubcymruafrica.wales. So that's all I have to say for the moment. I will come back at the end for a quick feedback poll, but for now I will hand over to Joanna.
Thank you, Lena. Hi, everyone, again. So today like Lena has said, we are expecting 4 speakers. We already have 3 in the room at the moment. We will hear firstly from Isaac Mbro. I hope I'm not butchering that surname. He's from Bees for Development in Ghana. Am I butchering it? Please tell me how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's okay. You are doing better than some people in Ghana. So
okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So I have been given a lot of points, which Isaac is going to talk on. But given the fact that we have 5 minutes per speaker, I would suggest that he focuses firstly on opportunities and challenges in engaging men in gender justice, and secondly, give us insights from the field on engaging men in gender justice through beekeeping. His other points are gender issues and beekeeping, breaking down stereotypes, scaling up mentorship programs, and yes. So just to ensure that we cover the most important points, if you could start first with opportunities and challenges and give us insights, it'll be really helpful. And then if you still have time left, you can cover the other points. Our second speaker is not here yet. So our second speaker will be Letty Chimbi. She's the founder of Chomuzangari Women's Cooperatives. Did I butcher the name? Did I do well? Thank you. An organization based in Swansea in Zimbabwe, involved in addressing period poverty. And some of the projects that they have worked on are nutrition gardens, water and sanitation, food enterprise, COVID response, and in schools. Our last speaker will be Steve Garrett. He will share his experience in fundraising for and supporting a women's rights advocacy in Uganda, that was implemented by Bera Charity Project Uganda, focusing on working with young people innovatively and effectively. And I hear that he also has some few media products to share with us. If he shows up, our other speaker is Francis Mukwana from SUP Community Initiatives Africa, a partner of a Wales-based organization called GBV Uganda Projects. He will tell us about the techniques he has tried to help men and boys to take active roles in ending GBV and pushing for gender justice. So, like I said, I'm going to time each speaker and I'm going to allocate 5 minutes to each speaker. Isaac, are you ready?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think I just saw somebody's mail from the mail list. I think Francis responded. So if Lena, you can check. He wrote a mail, so if you can check from there. Okay, so like my name, they mentioned my name, Isaac Mbro from Ghana Youth for Development, and over the years, my role in the organization has evolved. Initially, I was the Apiculture Development Coordinator, coordinating all our work in Ghana. Later, I became the monitoring and evaluation person, as well as the communication. Currently, I am the lead person in Ghana. So working with this organization, we have witnessed firsthand how engaging men in our work, and an area which is male dominated in Ghana, and engaging men in gender justice within this rural setting. We have seen that it can lead to more inclusive and sustainable outcome. I would say that through our work, we have developed strategies to kind of challenge the gender norms, like many African countries. Ghana also is facing some of these norms, ensuring that women not only participate, but also be active in the various groups they find themselves in. But we have a number of things that we have tried. Some have worked, others have not. And so we keep evolving. I will touch on that and then I will narrow it down to some challenges. So working with Bees for Development, we have seen opportunities where we can do more, and there are challenges, like I said earlier. So in terms of opportunities, we still see that we can do more by using economic motivation to ensure that gender justice is served. We can also use community champions, and I will explain or throw more light on this. We can also engage those power structures within the communities we are working in. And then also we need to address challenges. These are some opportunities that are still there for us to explore. So I will say that in terms of using economic motivation as a gender justice tool, many men initially resist the idea of women taking out beekeeping. And most especially if we have to make women leaders in some groups, they will resist it. However, if we present economic evidence as to how women involvement can lead to household income, they tend to become more receptive and what do you call it? Try to understand where we are coming from. So for example, in some communities, women traditionally will play a supportive role. But when we identify that, we've been able to turn the narratives, and we have encouraged as many women as possible to go through that. So in some areas, we successfully can let men who are working with their wives to kind of explain how they are doing it in their small way to larger groups for them to learn from what they have done and they have become more successful. So the lesson here is that men are more willing to support their women if they see that they are going to benefit in terms of finances. It's benefit the family. They are more willing to engage their wives in whatever they are doing. In terms of community champions, we use chiefs. Chiefs are very common in Ghana. They are in every community. There's an elderly person that is the head in every community. So for us to be successful, to ensure that women play a key role in our beekeeping activities, we engage the chiefs who are mostly men to kind of pass our message through the chiefs. And because of tradition, most people listen to these chiefs. And so when we use them, we are always successful in making sure that justice is served for both men and women. And in that case, I will say that currently we have about 5 people who are doing this wonderful job for us. And I can talk about Boatens, I can talk about Frimpong, Ibrahim, and the likes.
You have 30 seconds. Can you wrap up? I
Okay,
gave you an extra minute, so please wrap up in 30 seconds.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll say that it is always good to engage these men. For example, what has really worked for us as Bees for Development Ghana is that we have been able to make use of males who are already champions, who are working with their wives, and we normally take them to communities where we are finding it difficult to penetrate as long as gender issues are concerned. So these are people that people can look up to be able to also do the same with their wives. So we have about 5 families that are doing this work for us in Kowu Farm Place. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Isaac. So I forgot to mention that if you have any question or comment during the presentation for any speaker, please write it down and we're going to take questions when everybody has spoken. If you think you're going to forget it, you can put it in the chat and then we will address them later. Thank you so much. Letty, are you ready? Please unmute yourself. You are muted, love. You're muted. Just a reminder, speakers, that you have already been introduced. So to save your time, just kick it off when it's your time to speak.
Oh, well,
your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay, my name is Letty. I am originally from Zimbabwe, born and bred, and came to Wales in 1996 and started working and doing whatever. But today I'm going to talk about the engaging men for gender justice. So we had something that was going on with our society in Zimbabwe, and what we did was the program that we were running, we were doing it in schools and in villages. This project was to do with period poverty. In schools, the other children and teachers recommended that, why don't you include boys who are prefects or school mentors, or people who are in authority in schools, to be mentors of the girls, so that when new girls come in, everybody supports them. And this is what we have been doing. But having, because when you work with schools, sometimes you work for the feedback. So that's what we were working with. So it was the introduction of education and awareness, and stroke boys as mentors, as well as other girls. What was recommended was that if boys know that this is what is going on, and they are helping with teachers, and if somebody has done something, they will quickly, kindly come and speak to you and make you comfortable, just like the girls do. So it was going to make their life easier, and it was going to eradicate bullying. When they talked about bullying, they were just talking about, when boys talk about girls' periods, sometimes it's quite an intimidating subject. But if they know exactly what is being talked about, it makes it easier. So that was what we tried to do. So we try and included everybody, but we haven't had the feedback yet, because our project only finished in January. And the people who were supposed to go and do the running around with the schools, because these programs are in the rural areas. When you leave Harare going on the main highway to South Africa, that's where the project is, and is in the lower land of the of Zimbabwe when you're going to South Africa. And because of heavy rains that are in Southern Africa this year, they haven't been to finish that project. So
you have directed to a very important that I need to address. You have said that you haven't had feedback yet from the project. And what were the objectives for the project, and what the expected outcomes?
Can you please come again?
Yes, what were you hoping to achieve from the project?
Yeah, I will summarize that at the end of my thing, if you don't mind.
You have less than a minute.
Less than a minute already?
Yes.
Well, we were trying
I'm going to give you an extra minute.
Okay. Address the myths and misconceptions of how to lead and to resist all the myths. And we were also appealing to to have shared values, gender justice as a human right issue that benefit everyone, including communities. What we tried to do was to connect gender justice to values like fairness, respect, and dignity, and also encourage all the school children to be taught about periods, especially at a high school, because most children in high school these days will be having periods. So we were asking if that could be made as an extra curriculum although, there were still discussions about it. So any questions? I haven't finished what I had prepared, but yeah, any questions?
No, we're gonna have questions at the end, my love.
Okay.
If you have finished, your minute is almost up anyway. So thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. We will move on. Looks like we still don't have Francis, so we will move on to Steve.
Okay, thanks, Joanna. So I'm going to speak about this project. It was called the Women's Rights Advocacy Project, or WRAP for short. And it was run in partnership with an organization in the west part of Uganda, not far from the Congolese border, that I've worked with over the years. So we know them quite well. And my friend there who runs this charity, he does a lot of work with HIV orphans and supporting widows. But we decided that this particular project about promoting women's rights. And I want to agree with some of the key points that have already been raised, because I'm recognizing I've got some of the same ones. A key starting point is got to get the support for the project from government, probably at a local level, from the local MP, and definitely got to get the chiefs and the key men in the area or in the village supporting it, which they will do. I think they're not going to come out and say that they're against women's rights. And I mean, very much like in the UK, with politicians, you don't know exactly what their motivations are for supporting something, but it doesn't really matter, because if you get them on board, then everything else begins to fall into place. If you haven't got them on board, it can create a lot of obstacles. So first, and my friend there who runs the charity, he's from the area. He understands how it works. He knows a lot of people. He's well respected. His family is well known, and all of those things help to make the right kind of contacts. And another key part was the project went to where people were, rather than just working in the town where he is. They went out rurally, and it had two strands. One was working in schools with boys and girls, and it would start off with the whole atmosphere was not trying to condemn any traditions or say that anything was wrong or that boys were bad or men were bad, but really more in the spirit of, and this is where he would bring in men, either men from the village or men from nearby, who would explain to the group, the mixed group of boys and girls, why they had enjoyed a marriage where there was more gender equality, how good it had been for them to have a partnership with their wives. If the wife went out to work, they would help with the childcare. Some of the old sort of traditions, well, a man would never do that. But these guys were saying, hey, I've really enjoyed it. I get to spend more time with my kids. Also, my wife is able to make money, so we have more money in the household. It really was emphasizing the benefits rather than saying what was wrong in the past. With that kind of negativity, I don't think works very well. And I think it applies equally to gender equality work in the UK. I think it's the same. I think particularly in terms of getting men on board, if they feel like they're facing judgment and criticism for their behavior, you're not going to be able to engage with them as well as when particularly you have a man telling the other men, or in the school, a man telling the boys, when you grow up and get married, trust me, a marriage where there's more equality, where there's no violence. I feel respected by my wife, because when there was violence, I know she didn't respect me. And it's also steering clear of kind of moral values. It's really more saying, hey, you know what, it's a much better marriage without violence and where there's more equality. And then another really innovative thing is they organized sports tournaments. All the kids who took part, so it would be between the different schools, they all wore T-shirts which were given to them, and on there printed it said women's rights matter. And it was boys teams and girls teams, and the local MP, because sports is really big in Uganda, particularly football. It drew quite a big crowd, and the local MP came and started the match and explained why they were wearing these T-shirts and what the match was in support of. And so all the audience that came, as well as the boys and girls taking part, were all hearing this positive message of all the values and benefits of a greater gender equality in marriage and in life in general. And but particularly this thing I say, emphasizing bringing the men coming in, speaking for you know, how much they valued and had benefited from marriages in which there was greater equality and no domestic violence, and then also women coming in and explaining the same, and the girls very much getting the message of, you have rights, you know, you by law in Uganda even, you know, but it's kind of converting the law into actual experience. And I've got a couple of great video clips. It's lovely hearing the girls saying, I've learned that I've got rights. I've learned that you know, I don't need to I have the right to be respected by the boys or by my husband later in life. But also emphasizing, yeah, that brings benefits to the men and the women. You know, it isn't like a win-lose. It isn't like, oh, women get more rights, so men have to lose some. No, it's really demonstrating how greater equality, greater gender equality benefits everybody. And as I say, I think we could very much, you know, that's a kind of positive message which we're trying to promote in the UK as well. So it's not particularly special to Uganda. But the sport thing worked well. And I probably, am I running out of time, Joanna?
Yeah, you have run out of time, and I was about to say thank you so much, Steve, for session.
I'm just going to add one other very short little thing, was that
okay.
They also ran after the sport, so where the crowds had been and heard this message, then they also ran workshops for men and women in the village where these issues were discussed and talked about in the atmosphere of friendliness and support. And so, you know, the word really spread far and wide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I've just got an idea for something to do for 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Thank you so much, Steve. So Francis has just joined us. Welcome, Francis, and thank you for making it. So I have already introduced you, and I have said that you will be telling us about the techniques that you have tried to help men and boys to take active roles in ending gender-based violence and pushing for gender justice. So you are allocated 5 minutes to make a presentation or to speak. Yes, at the end, you are the last speaker. So at the end of that, we'll be taking questions. Are you ready, Francis?
Yes, I am ready. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Sorry for coming late. I have been trying to jog around to see that I am online. It has not been easy, but I thank God that finally I am here. I was asked to present one on the kind of techniques that we have tried to help men and boys to take so as they can take the active role in ending gender-based violence. And number two is to share some of the challenges that we have so far experienced during the implementation of our activities. And three is giving an insight on how this could be dealt with. And then what we need more. First of all, how have we engaged the techniques that we have tried to help men and boys take active role in ending gender-based violence? Number one, that our organization works so much through the women groups or gender groups. So we have the gender groups that we work through. So we engage the men in these gender groups. However, these gender groups, women take the most top positions, like the chairperson, the treasurer, the secretary. So those positions, higher positions, are taken up by women, and then men can come lower, like, for example, mobilizing other people like women and so forth. And then number two is that we have tried to create awareness in most of our activities that we do. We have tried our best to see that we create awareness. about this, and we are happy that yes, there's been a change always. And then engaging the leaders, especially women, in our activities that we organize, both political, religious, and other traditional leaders in the activities that we implement. So we engage them, and by so doing, women come out to be seen in powerful positions, and yes, for the men to know that yes, women can also do this or lead this, and they must be respected at all levels. Some of the challenges that we have so far experienced is limited information about the law and the rights both by men and women. Really, people really know very little information about gender-based violence in these communities, be it the political, be it the religious, and most importantly, the traditional leaders, and of course, who have a lot of influence in our communities. So totally they don't know information about the gender-based violence. Then we have so much empowered the women and girls in our organization through skilling, like hairdressing, tailoring. We have projects that we give communities like Big Area and other projects. So this empowerment has made men feel like for them now they are left out, they are not empowered. And this issue has come out in many of our annual general meetings that we have always had. And we have had complaints. I'm happy, I don't know if Carol is here, maybe she'll be a witness of this. We have had a lot of complaints during our annual general meetings where people complain about, or us over empowering women and leaving out men. And also another challenge is that we have faced is the traditional beliefs and practices that have really taken lead, especially in our community. We have circumcision, and when a man is circumcised, feel like, yes, I am really a man, so someone else can't speak when I am circumcised. So that traditional, and the way tradition also empowers men more than women, at times contradicts with our teachings, and our message is not so much welcome. And then also high community expectations, whereby when you reach in the community, people expect a lot, like the project, like you reach there, someone thinks, he has come, maybe he's coming with a project to support us, improve our livelihood. So when you reach the community, people have high community expectations, which affects our activity implementation. However, this can be overcome through having the trainings, especially having champions to be well equipped with the GBV information, well prepared and commissioned to go to communities and preach the gospel of gender-based violence to the community. This has been our cry, our request for a very long time, but it is not very easy for an organization to attract funding of that kind, just to empower people with knowledge. So it is really very challenging. We have tried it out, but we have never been successful. But this is really very important to see that the stakeholders will include religious leaders, the political leaders, and others, and other influential members within the community, traditional and others, can be trained and be equipped so that they can carry on the gospel. Then also continuous sensitization about GBV. It is a core activity in our organization, and yes, in each activity we do, we have always incorporated it with other activities, and we are saying, yes, this must go on continuously to see that we create an impact. Then also finding of a motivation ways toward men and boys in advocating for gender-based violence.
Okay, sorry, Francis, you are a bit over 5 minutes, so can you please wrap up in 30 seconds?
Sorry?
You are a bit over your time, so please, I'm giving you extra 30 seconds to wrap up.
Okay, thank you. So lastly, how could we deal with this resistance that men face? I think what is important is having advocacy meetings with the key stakeholders and influential leaders within communities, including religious leaders, political and traditional leaders. And what we need to do more of, and what turned out to be less effective, is more of advocacy meetings and trainings of GBV champions. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity once again.
Thank you so much, Francis, and all our speakers. Are there any questions, comments, any points of clarity on the presentations that we have had? Julian, I know your hand was up, and I know you probably have a comment for Isaac or a question.
Actually, I think I was clapping. I think at some point I was doing that. So I'm sure I'm sure I'll have a question, but others should come first, I'm sure.
All right. Any questions, comments? We heard from Isaac, who has first-hand experience in engaging men in predominantly female-saturated environments. He has shared challenges and opportunities, which I think we can learn a lot from. For instance, engaging community leaders as champions for gender justice, and of course, learning from experience. And we've heard from Letty, whose project involves boys from schoolboys in advocating against to address period poverty in a school. He has shared the objectives of the project and what expected outcomes were. And Steve, whose ideas I'm going to steal on promoting women's rights through positive storytelling or experience sharing. And Francis, who just spoke now, whom I'm sure everybody remembers what he just said, on engaging men in gender groups led predominantly by women, and engaging female leaders in social activities to promote positivity around leadership by women and promoting respect for women leaders. Do we still not have questions? Yes, Tawera.
Maybe questions and comments, but yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for the presentations and the beautiful work that you're doing all over. Yeah, so when people are presenting, you get the questions nicely lined out, and then they finish presenting, everything just disappears. At my age, we don't remember much.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did ask that you write them in the chat.
I did. When don't worry. So a general question to everyone is, what is the level of involvement of the Office of Ministry of Gender? They are called Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Women, Ministry of whatever in different countries. What has been their role? How do you work with them? Because at the end of the day, the government has the overall responsibility. We know they don't do much, but they need to be seen to be working with us. So what has been your involvement and experience working with the representatives of the ministries of women or Ministry of Gender? In terms of buy-in from chiefs, Isaac, you did talk about that. And you did mention that probably all the leaders that you're working with are men. Yeah, so I was just wondering, how has it been working with them? This is promoting gender equality, but at the same time, we know a lot of times when we talk of gender equality, we talk of women empowerment. And yes, Francis also did mention that there've been complaints. So for me, question one to you, Francis, is how has the community leaders who are men bought into the programs that you do, and how supportive are them? And Francis, yes, thank you so much for bringing that up, because initially that's what I wanted to say, that a lot of times when we go in talking gender equality, sometimes we use the gender equality, but what we actually do is feminism. We kind of want to push men and boys aside to promote and empower women. That creates animosity in the long run because men feel left out. We empower women without men, they feel left out, and they get angry, they get disappointed. So it's important that, maybe good and not good, the fact that they've come out and complained, which is good to a greater extent, because then that sends you re-strategizing in terms of what you can do. But to a greater extent, where I've worked on these programs, when you bring men on board, the buy-in from men at the get-go as you start, there's a lot of support that comes from men. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for your question, Torara. So I think the first question was addressed to everybody. So I'm going to give everyone 30 seconds to address it. Because there was a specific question for Francis. I'll start with Francis and then I'll go to Isaac and then Letty. I don't know, Steve, if you want to address, if you have an answer for experience in working with relevant ministries responsible for gender and women in these initiatives. All right. Francis, Isaac, Letty, and then Steve.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank her for elaborately coming up with that. One, at the lower level, we have the ones that they call probation officers that we always work with to see that we support the district and the country to see that people get information about GBV. And how have we worked with men and women? Always involve them in participatory planning. We have what we call the governing board meetings, which comprise of both men and women, but also in the communities as we go. We ask them to mobilize. But as I told you before, I'm happy that you also appreciate it, that one of the most challenges is most of the projects we get as SAP are geared towards empowering women and girls. So that affects us so much, especially as men think we have left them out. But we are finding solutions for that.
Thank you, Isaac. Sorry, Francis, I'm so sorry. Next up, Isaac.
For us, I wouldn't say I've worked with the ministry before. We mostly don't like working with politicians generally because sometimes they delay you. When we are interested in the results. So if somebody is delaying, we don't work with those people. So I don't have experience working with the Gender and Children Ministry, the minister in charge. Yes, so I don't have that experience. I just wanted to say something small on the chiefs. Yeah. The good thing is because they know that what we do brings money, and people getting jobs is difficult in this country. They try as much as possible to influence their subjects or community members to take up the opportunity, because you engaging in beekeeping will bring money at the end of the day. People spend less and they get more from keeping bees. So it's something that is easy for us to work with the chiefs and for them to buy into it, and they're also able to convince their people because they don't have to spend a lot of money to gain a lot of benefit from bees. So that is what I will want to say. And then if there is time, I will want to say that one common problem that we also face.
Your time is up.
Yes, I know, but I think I will have to just chip in.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Yes. So there is always resistance from men. That one is it's fact. And mostly they feel that when women are empowered and they are okay, they will challenge their traditional authority. But on the other hand, if we make people understand that, yes, when these women become financially stable, they will come in to complement whatever you are as a head of the family is spending on the family. Then there's the idea of competition is taken out, and now there is what do you call it? What we call cooperation, rather than competition between man or wife and the husband. So that's something I want to add.
Okay, thank you so much for that very important point. Letty, I'm giving you 30 seconds to address your experience working with a relevant ministry responsible for gender and women in your country.
Okay. In Zimbabwe, the government and the villagers are so organized in terms of working with the government, with the communities in the rural areas. So what they encourage you to do if you are coming from outside like me, I'm from there, but I will be coming from here. They want you to have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the local authority, meaning, a district that you are working in. So that memorandum of understanding will bring in all the stakeholders from the Ministry of Women's Affairs to WASH, to community development that are doing different things in the area. So whenever we go there, all these stakeholders will congregate in one place, and we will be able to address and tell them what we have come for. And of course, we start by addressing the headman and his team. And there's a mixed bag there. There's women and men in that village. And then we will invite everybody to go to where we are going to assemble and talk about. So we are quite covered. We will have Minister of Women's Affairs every time we are implementing.
That's very lovely to hear. Very organized and very positive. Thank you so much for sharing it. Steve, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give as much detail about how Pedson, my friend, works the political side of it, but I do know, and I think I said it, but just to sort of emphasize again, he absolutely doesn't wait for the ministry to do anything, but he makes sure that they know and they can feel that they can take the benefit. It's an international project. Mind you, the money for it all comes from either crowdfunder or, we raise the money for it from all sorts of different places. But and then definitely getting the local MP and any other organizations that are linked to the government are invited, and they're told that they will be able to make a speech and they will be, be seen to be supporting this great idea of greater equality, which they love because they know, well, first off, it's the law, and second of all, it's the way things are going. It makes them look good. Well, this is how we play politics in this country. It's exactly the same. We got to make them look good, but at the same time, they give their voice of support to what you're doing. But I do want to just quickly say, I mean, I think I'm identifying with what Isaac said here, that in terms of avoiding resistance from men, again, just to reiterate, the whole tone of the women's rights advocacy project is the mutual benefits. Saying, look, there are many ways in which the old traditions just didn't really work well for anybody, and it's not that there's no judgment, there's no criticism. It's about boys and girls, men and women, exploring all the benefits that can come from letting go of some of the old activities that used to be sort of accepted. Although I don't know that anyone would have come up and said, "Oh yeah, it's good to beat your wife," because then it wasn't like that. It was more sort of hidden, really, but it was sort of tolerated. And the emphasis all the time is about the mutual benefits, and men, you can be on board with this, and you know, all of the ways in which I suppose better economy, better relationship, it's better for your kids, including your sons, you know, which you know, all fathers want their sons and their daughters to get the best start in life. And I think having that tone rather than anything negative, and then the last point, having male advocates coming in, speaking to the men and saying, guys, this has really worked for me. I'm having a much happier, we've got a much better relationship, we've got more money, my kids are happier. What's not to like? You know, there's no losing. It's a win-win. You know, greater gender equality, men might imagine they're going to lose, but it's explaining to them, no, there's no loss. It's win-win all around, you know. And I think that by presenting the message that way, you're going to get men on board, you know, because they feel empowered.
All right, thank you so much. That took 2 minutes, actually. So thank you so much, but it was great to hear. So we have a question in the chat from Julian. He wants to know if any of our speakers see any impact yet of the US aid cuts, or have concerns about future UK aid cuts to the communities in which they are working. Will you take us?
Well, for us, we don't really have any funding from US government, so not really affected. But the country as a whole that one is affected because there are so many things that's what being done by the USAID in the country. But in terms of as an organization, no. Maybe in future, it's most likely that if something like that happens from the UK side, then that will affect us, because I would say most of the things we do, comes from.
Oh, there are, like the second part of the question says, if you have any concerns about future UK aid cuts to the communities in which you serve.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's in future, if that happens, then that will very much affect my organization, for example. Yeah, because currently we are implementing a project that is funded by Darwin through UK. So yeah, definitely.
We have 5 minutes left before our sessions end. So I'm just gonna give 2 minutes for the rest of the questions if there are any, and I'll hand back to Lena to close up. Letty.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a big worry that USAID is America is doing what it is doing with its funding, with most of the funding that comes from their government. Because when we work where we work, you'll find that organizations sometimes they work together. You have a common ground, and it doesn't matter whether that funding is coming from Australia or wherever. But if funding is running out in any part of the world, like the way it is, because this is aggressive, it's not something that we can take lightly. It's hard. It's going to be hard for the people that are being supported by USAID and all the other NGOs from America. And I was also looking at, trying to find some funding from that part of the world. So for that door to be closed, it means it will close for all of us.
Okay, thank you so much. Francis in the chat says, I think our organizations need to be empowered so that they can respond to own vulnerabilities, especially through having organizational income generating projects. One thing I know for certain is that Hub Cymru Africa does have resources on fundraising, training, something like that. Julian, do you want to say something about that?
Yes, we've got resources available online. We've got a searchable database where people can go and find funders. We've also done a lot of online kind of workshops, which are on our YouTube channel. And you can see there are a couple that Lena organised recently on applying for grants, finding grant funders. There's lots of topics there. If you go to YouTube, search for Hub Cymru Africa, then there's a whole channel with lots of workshops and discussions and things that you can look through. And
Right.
you can always get in touch with us kind of one-on-one as well for support and advice.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I think we've come to the end of the session, and I will hand over to Lena to close. Thank you so much to all the speakers.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, thanks from our side as well, to everyone who contributed, and especially you, Joanna, for chairing really excellently again. So yeah, really glad that you can make it. And I just ran launched the poll. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, people are starting to respond. That's great. So I'll wait a minute and leave that up. Yeah, for a moment. And yeah, just to say that the next session is planned for July or June, early July maybe, and will probably be around livelihoods. Yeah, although this seems to be definitely a very yeah, a topic that you could probably go on talking about for a while, but yeah,
yeah,
to continue the conversation. Yeah,
go back to it.
Yeah,
I accidentally closed my poll, and I don't know how to go back to it. I don't know what it is.
I don't know either. I only have the choice to end it, and I don't think I can reload. I don't know, Julian, do you know if that's possible to?
All right, but I thought it was excellent.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, people are still responding. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can help somebody get their poll back once they've.
Yeah, not sure.
But it's right. We can always take some more detailed feedback or anything.
Absolutely, Joanna. Do let me know for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful for most of you. Yeah, I think I've given you. Oh, still coming in. Don't want to lose any feedback that I'm getting. Sorry for running over potentially. Yeah, you know, everybody always welcome to get in touch and suggest topics, and yeah, we're very happy for you to engage and yeah, feed into this program.
Just before you go, there's always so much that we can learn from each other, all of us involved in these projects. And I've said, look, I've got some lovely videos. Yeah, I spend my photos also, but the videos are great because these are like the girls speaking about how they're feeling and the boys talking about it, and happy to share that, and would also welcome. I don't know whether Hub Cymru can in any way be a sort of a distribution point for anything like that, but I think we could really learn a lot from each other if people got any kind of documentation or
yeah, there is a Google Drive.
I'm definitely interested in the media.
Yeah, I can put it on there. Your previous material is also on there, so anyone, I will share the link. So.
Oh, okay. No, that would be great because you know that hearing the people speak directly is really powerful.
Yeah, you're right. All right, okay, I'm going to close this meeting, and yeah, wishing everyone a
all right, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for
listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.